after Watchmen, Legend of the Guardians, what are you doing in the realm of anime?
It's funny. I started working on Guardians right after 300. So before I did Watchmen, I had decided to make Guardians. It just takes a long time. Animated film takes forever, I guess, to get it going. So used a lot of the language from 300 in Guardians. So when you sort of see it, even though it comes after Watchmen in sort of my filmography, if you look at it, if you look at 300 and then look at Legends and then Watchmen, you sort of see the progression sort of happening visually anyway. It's a different sort of language.
So it's a kind of sequence.
It's interesting to sort of think about it that way because 300 has its own sort of style and Watchmen has its own style. And I would say that Guardians, of course, does also have its own style because it's 3D and it's CG and it's animation and it kind of borrows from both those movies in some weird way,
How different is to direct an animation film than a normal film?
It's quite different, although I will say for my process it's surprisingly similar to the way I make a live-action film, because when I make a live-action film I draw the frames and then those frames become what we shoot, and so in an animated film you kind of do the same thing. It's just once you draw the frame, the process between drawing the frame and the finished film is quite another many layers and steps to kind of keep slowly going toward the finished product.
A blessing or a curse not having actors in your movie?
It's funny because just to say that you don't notice that you don't have actors because the voices are such a big part of what shapes the character, right? So I film Jim, he does his dialogue, but I film him with a video camera, right? So he's doing his dialogue and he's acting, he's emoting, and that goes to the animators, and the animators put that into the character. So even though you don't have an actor per se that you're filming, you definitely have an actor's influence on the drama.
It is a fully animated action film. So is that too risky for Hollywood business?
It's not a very expensive film, surprisingly. You think about the Pixar movies are, $200 million, Toy Story 3, whatever. And our movie is not even half that. It's even though visually I would say, it's pretty big. But I just didn't. I was like, I don't know how to make a comedy. I don't know how to make a Shrek-style movie. So I want to make an action movie, and that's. And
now you're having a 3D film.
Yes.
Is it new? Is it?
Yes.
It's thrilling.
This movie, again, we knew it was going to be 3D from the beginning. We were like, we should make this movie 3D. It'll be awesome. We didn't know that there would be good 3D, bad 3D, all sorts of different 3D by now. And so the cool thing about making the movie was that we didn't have any of the pressure of 3D. 3D, we were just doing it our way and to make it cool. And so our 3D, I think the 3D in the movie ends up being super sophisticated because it's not trying to poke you in the eye all the time. It's really there to kind of just make the world more real.
So is the experience of Legion of the Guardians helping you with future plans like Superman or like Sucker Punch, or was it useful?
Yeah, I think it is useful. I think as far as a tool of learning especially, I'm definitely a smarter filmmaker than I was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, having gone through this whole experience.
What a sequel of 300?
Yeah, no, we're working on it. I'm writing it right now.
Really?
Yeah, I have. Frank is writing a comic book. It's based on Themistocles, based on the Battle of Artemisium, and which it takes place on the exact same 3 days as Thermopylae. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of not a sequel and not a prequel. It kind of happens alongside, and it's be fun because it's a big sea battle. So, we are doing all these sequences where the triremes all crash together, and then all the battlefield is all the boats just crashing together. So the men run across the ships as they're fighting, so that should be fun. And horses and everything. It's crazy.